Tonight, you are not here to learn something new or to reach a conclusion. You are here to rest inside meaning rather than chase it. The wisdom you are about to hear does not ask for effort, attention, or analysis. It asks only for permission to soften. In the path of the heart, sleep is not an absence of awareness, but a return to a deeper form of it. When the noise of the mind fades, the soul remembers what it already knows. Allow these words to accompany you gently, not as instruction, but as presence, guiding you toward the stillness where the heart finally feels safe enough to let go. The heart becomes restless when it believes it must remain awake to protect itself. This alertness does not begin suddenly. It develops slowly, almost invisibly, through repeated moments of worry, disappointment, responsibility, and fear. At first, the heart stays awake only when it senses danger. Later, it forgets how to rest at all. It begins to believe that vigilance is safety and that relaxation is risk. Over time, this misunderstanding hardens into habit, and the habit turns into exhaustion. The soul does not grow tired because it is weak. It grows tired because it has been standing guard for too long. It has been watching every thought, anticipating every possible outcome, and carrying the unspoken belief that if it relaxes, something will fall apart. This is a heavy burden for something that was never created to control life. The heart was designed to trust, not to manage the universe. When the heart assumes responsibility for what it cannot govern, it tightens. This tightening is subtle at first. The breath shortens slightly, the chest feels less spacious. Sleep becomes shallow, interrupted, or delayed. These are not failures of discipline or willpower, they are signals. The heart is saying that it has been asked to do more than it was meant to do. True rest begins when the heart remembers its proper role. The heart was not created to solve existence. It was created to receive it. It was created to be a place where life arrives, not a place where life is controlled. When this remembrance begins to return, even faintly, something inside loosens. The constant inner tension softens. The body senses that it no longer has to remain on high alert. This softening often begins in the chest. The breath naturally deepens, not because you force it to, but because there is suddenly more room. The shoulders drop slightly. The jaw unclenches without instruction. These small shifts are not random. They are the body responding to safety. Safety is the condition required for rest. Without it, sleep remains fragile or distant. Many people confuse control with care. They believe that worrying proves responsibility, that staying alert proves commitment. But the heart was not meant to carry care through anxiety. It was meant to carry care through trust. Trust does not mean neglect. It means recognizing that life is already being managed by a wisdom greater than personal effort. When you remember that there is an intelligence guiding the flow of life beyond your awareness, the heart begins to release its grip. This release is not surrender to fear or helplessness. It is surrender to care. It is the quiet acknowledgement that you are not alone in maintaining your existence. This acknowledgement lightens the inner load. The body responds immediately to this shift. Muscles that have been subtly braced begin to relax. The nervous system transitions from defense into regulation. This transition is essential. A body in defense mode cannot rest deeply. It remains prepared to react. A body that feels supported, however, allows itself to power down gently. Sleep begins here, not as an event, but as a permission. Permission to stop scanning, permission to stop rehearsing tomorrow, permission to stop reviewing yesterday. These habits of mental movement are signs of a heart that feels responsible for holding everything together. When responsibility is returned to where it belongs, these habits lose their urgency. The heart was never meant to be alert forever, because constant alertness is not sustainable. It consumes energy without restoring it. Over time, this consumption manifests as fatigue, irritability, and restlessness. These are not personal flaws. They are the natural outcome of prolonged vigilance. When the heart finally rests, even briefly, it experiences relief rather than collapse. This is an important distinction. Rest does not cause loss. It restores clarity. It allows the soul to feel supported rather than abandoned. The fear that rest will lead to failure dissolves when the heart experiences how gently life continues without constant supervision. Sleep is one of the purest expressions of trust. To sleep is to allow consciousness to loosen its grip on the world. It is to accept vulnerability without panic. The heart resists sleep when it believes vulnerability is dangerous. It welcomes sleep when it remembers it is held. You do not need to convince the heart with arguments. The heart responds to experience. When it tastes even a small moment of safety, it begins to learn again. Each time you allow yourself to rest without guilt, the heart releases a little more. Each time you stop monitoring yourself, the body learns that nothing terrible happens when control softens. This is why rest cannot be forced. Forcing is another form of control, and control keeps the heart alert. Rest arrives when effort withdraws. It arrives when you stop demanding sleep and start allowing stillness. Stillness tells the heart that the watch is over for now. The heart does not need to resign forever. It only needs relief. It needs to know that it can pause without consequences. This pause recalibrates the entire system. The body regains its natural rhythm. The mind slows naturally. The soul feels less burdened. When the heart remembers it is held, not responsible, sleep no longer feels like surrendering control. It feels like returning home. Home is where vigilance rests. Home is where the heart does not need to explain itself. Home is where the body is allowed to repair what effort has worn down. Let this understanding settle gently. There is nothing you need to do with it. Simply allowing the idea to exist is enough. The heart understands long before the mind does. And when the heart understands, sleep follows naturally. Many people fear stillness because they mistake it for disappearance, loss, or inactivity. The mind has learned to associate movement with safety and noise with meaning. When things become quiet, it assumes something is missing. But stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness without disturbance. It is presence without pressure. It is awareness that no longer needs to announce itself. Stillness does not erase you. It reveals what remains when unnecessary effort falls away. When movement slows, awareness does not vanish. It becomes more refined. It shifts from the surface of thought into a deeper layer of perception. In this subtle state, the soul no longer feels obligated to define itself, explain itself, or improve itself. It is simply allowed to be. The fear of stillness often comes from the belief that identity must be constantly maintained. Throughout the day, the mind works to hold together roles, memories, responsibilities, and expectations. It asks repeatedly, "Who am I right now, and what must I do next?" This continuous self-definition creates tension. Stillness interrupts this cycle. It tells the identity that it can rest without collapsing. Tonight, you do not need to know who you are. You do not need to answer questions about purpose, direction, or worth. These questions belong to daylight. Stillness allows identity to step aside without being erased. When identity rests, the body follows. The muscles soften because they no longer need to support a story. The jaw releases because it no longer needs to hold unspoken words. The nervous system begins to shift from vigilance into repair. This shift is not dramatic. It is gentle and gradual. You may notice it as a slight heaviness in the limbs, a warmth in the chest, or a deeper rhythm in the breath. These sensations are signs that the body recognizes safety. Safety is not excitement or pleasure. Safety is the absence of threat. In safety, the body allows itself to restore. Stillness also changes how time is experienced. When movement slows, time stretches. Moments feel less crowded. This spaciousness gives the inner world room to settle. Thoughts may still appear, but they lose their urgency. They no longer demand immediate attention or response. They pass more slowly, like leaves drifting across water rather than stones striking a surface. The mind often resists this slowing because it equates activity with control. Control feels reassuring, even when it is exhausting. Stillness removes the illusion of control, and this can feel uncomfortable at first. But beneath this discomfort is relief. Relief comes when the mind realizes that nothing essential is lost in stillness. Life continues, breath continues, the heart continues to beat without supervision. Stillness teaches the soul that existence does not depend on effort, it depends on allowance. Allowance is the state in which healing occurs. When the soul stops interfering with itself, natural balance returns. The body does not need constant instruction to heal. It needs quiet conditions in which its intelligence can function. Many people avoid stillness because they fear encountering unresolved feelings. They worry that silence will amplify discomfort. In reality, constant noise keeps discomfort trapped. Stillness allows it to dissolve gently. Feelings that arise in stillness do not come to harm you. They come to complete themselves. When they are allowed to exist without resistance, they soften and fade. Stillness is also where mercy speaks most clearly. Mercy does not shout or demand. It arrives quietly, offering rest rather than solutions. In stillness, the soul senses that it is not being evaluated. There is no performance required, no standard to meet. This absence of judgment relaxes the inner environment. When judgment fades, the body releases tension it has been holding unconsciously. Chronic tightness often comes from the fear of not being enough or not doing enough. Stillness interrupts this fear by removing the audience. In the quiet, there is no one to impress and nothing to prove. The body responds with ease. Stillness is not passivity, it is receptivity. It allows life to move through you without obstruction. When you stop pushing against the moment carries you. This carrying feels like floating rather than effort. The breath becomes slower and deeper because it is no longer rushed by thought. The nervous system is especially sensitive to stillness. When external stimulation decreases, it recalibrates. Heart rate steadies, blood pressure lowers, muscles enter a state of gentle release. These changes signal the body that repair is safe to begin. Repair cannot occur when the system believes it must remain alert. Stillness also softens the boundary between waking and sleeping. Sleep does not arrive suddenly, it unfolds. Stillness is the threshold where awareness gradually loosens its grip. When stillness is allowed, sleep approaches naturally without force or frustration. You do not need to create stillness. It is already present beneath activity. You only need to stop covering it. Each time you allow silence without filling it, stillness reveals itself. Each time you resist the urge to check, adjust, or think, stillness deepens. Stillness does not demand perfection. Even moments of restlessness within stillness are acceptable. The goal is not absolute quiet, but reduced interference. Less interference allows more balance. More balance allows rest. The soul understands stillness instinctively. It recognizes it as familiar, safe, and nourishing. The mind may take time to trust it, but the body responds immediately. When stillness is present, the body knows it can let go. This is why stillness feels like mercy spoken without words. It does not explain itself. It does not argue. It simply offers space. In this space, the soul rests. In this rest, sleep finds its way. Sleep does not respond to effort. This is one of the quiet paradoxes the heart learns only through exhaustion. The more the mind tries to make sleep happen, the more alert the system becomes. Effort signals urgency, and urgency tells the body that something is wrong. When the body senses something is wrong, it cannot rest. It prepares instead. Many people lie in bed believing they must do something to fall asleep. They adjust their position repeatedly, control their breathing, rehearse calming thoughts, or monitor how close they are to drifting off. Each of these actions, though well-intentioned, reinforces the same message. Sleep is missing, and it must be chased. Chasing keeps the nervous system awake. Sleep arrives only when resistance leaves. Resistance is subtle. It appears as mental checking, inner commentary, and silent pressure. It is the habit of holding on to the day, reviewing conversations, correcting imagined mistakes, or preparing for a future that is not here. Resistance is not loud, but it is constant. And constant resistance keeps awareness tense. The soul does not need to be pushed into sleep. It needs to feel allowed. Allowed to stop managing, allowed to stop evaluating, allowed to stop participating in thought. Permission is the doorway sleep enters through. Without permission, the body remains in a waiting posture, prepared to act. When you grant permission, you are not giving up control of life. You are simply pausing your involvement in it. This pause is temporary, but deeply restorative. The soul recognizes permission immediately. It is like being told you may finally sit down after standing for too long. Relief spreads quietly, without celebration. The habit of forcing sleep often comes from fear. Fear of tomorrow, fear of fatigue, fear of losing control. Fear tightens the body even when the room is quiet. Sleep cannot coexist with tightness. It requires softness. Softness is not weakness, it is openness. When resistance loosens, even slightly, the body notices. The breath becomes less deliberate. The chest moves more freely. The face relaxes without instruction. These are not techniques you apply. They are responses to safety. Safety is the condition sleep requires. Sleep is not an achievement. It is a response. It responds to ease, not demand. When you stop trying to sleep, the conditions for sleep quietly assemble on their own. This is why sleep often arrives unexpectedly, in moments when attention drifts or effort fades. Permission also means allowing incompleteness. You do not need to resolve the day before resting. You do not need to understand your emotions fully. You do not need to arrive at clarity. The soul can rest while questions remain unanswered. Rest does not require closure. It requires trust. Many resist sleep because they fear what will surface when activity stops. Silence can feel exposing at first, but forcing wakefulness does not resolve what is unspoken. It only postpones rest. When silence is allowed, what arises does not come to overwhelm. It comes to release. Sleep approaches quietly, like a trusted presence, when it senses it will not be interrogated or rushed. It is sensitive to pressure. The moment you stop measuring progress towards sleep, sleep feels welcome again. You are not failing when sleep delays. Delay is often the result of effort, not lack. When effort softens, delay loses its purpose. The body naturally returns to its rhythm when it is not interrupted. There is nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you must fix, nothing you must reach. Let the mind loosen its grip on the outcome. Let the body lie without instruction. Let awareness rest without direction. The soul has slept thousands of times before without help. It remembers how, Trust that memory, trust that rhythm, trust that when resistance leaves, rest arrives. Long before the mind learned to plan, analyze, and worry, the body learned how to rest. This wisdom is not intellectual and does not rely on memory or instruction. It is embedded in rhythm. It lives in the rise and fall of breath, in the natural slowing of the heart at night, and in the quiet intelligence that knows when to release effort. The body does not debate rest. It moves toward it when conditions allow. Modern life often interrupts this ancient knowing. The mind stays active long after the body is ready to slow down. Thoughts continue moving even when the environment has grown quiet. The body waits patiently, but when interruption becomes constant, patience turns into strain. Sleep becomes shallow or fragmented, not because the body has forgotten how to rest, but because it is repeatedly overruled. The body understands cycles. It knows the difference between day and night without being told. When light fades, hormones shift. Temperature lowers slightly. Muscles prepare to soften. These changes happen automatically when they are not interfered with. Urgency, stimulation, and mental pressure disrupt these signals. When urgency fades, the body resumes its natural descent toward rest. Every breath now is an invitation rather than a command. You do not need to deepen it or slow it intentionally. The body will do this on its own when it senses safety. Safety is not created by control. It is created by the absence of threat. When you stop asking the body to perform, it begins to relax. Many people believe they must guide the process of falling asleep, but guidance implies effort, and effort keeps the system alert. The body does not require supervision to heal or rest. It requires space. When you stop interrupting it with urgency, it quietly takes over. This wisdom, older than thought, is subtle. It does not announce itself. It expresses itself through heaviness in the limbs, warmth spreading through the torso, and a gentle slowing of awareness. These sensations are often misinterpreted as losing control, but they are signs of balance returning. The body recognizes safety when effort fades. Effort includes mental effort as much as physical effort. Planning, reviewing, and anticipating all register as activity. When activity decreases, the nervous system shifts from activation into regulation. Regulation is where repair happens. Repair is the hidden work of sleep. Sleep is not passive. It is active restoration carried out beyond conscious awareness. Muscles release stored tension. The immune system recalibrates. Memory integrates. Emotional residue from the day is processed gently. None of this can happen efficiently when the system remains on alert. The body has its own timing. Forcing it to match expectations creates friction. Friction feels like restlessness. When you allow the body to follow its own pace, restlessness dissolves into ease. Ease is the signal that the body is ready to descend further into sleep. The mind often resists this surrender because it fears losing awareness. But sleep is not loss, it is transition. Awareness does not disappear, it changes form. The body knows how to guide this transition without explanation. Trusting this guidance is an act of cooperation, not passivity. When you lie still without directing yourself, the body begins to speak. It communicates through sensation rather than words. A subtle pull downward, a softening of the face, a loosening in the lower back. These signals do not require response. They are simply invitations to allow. Urgency interrupts this conversation. Checking whether sleep is coming interrupts it. Measuring progress interrupts it. Each interruption tells the body that vigilance is still required. When interruptions stop, the body understands that the watch has ended. The wisdom of the body is patient. It does not demand immediate surrender. Even partial allowance is enough. Each moment you refrain from interference, the body takes one step deeper into rest. These steps accumulate quietly. The body also remembers rest. Even if sleep has been difficult recently, the memory of rest remains. This memory is not conscious. It lives in the nervous system. When conditions resemble safety again, the body returns to familiar patterns without effort. Stillness supports this remembering. When you remain still, not rigid but receptive, the body recalibrates. Muscles release in stages. The breath finds a slower rhythm. Awareness narrows naturally. Narrowing is not loss. It is focus turning inward. There is no need to hurry this process. The body does not respond well to deadlines. It responds to consistency and permission. Each time you allow yourself to lie without expectation, you reinforce trust. Trust strengthens the body's confidence in returning to rest. This wisdom, older than thought, is reliable because it is not influenced by fear or desire. It functions according to balance. When balance is restored, sleep follows. When balance is disturbed, sleep withdraws. The solution is not force, but removal of disturbance. You are not doing anything wrong if sleep has not arrived yet. You are simply still learning to step aside. Stepping aside is not neglect. It is cooperation with a system designed to care for itself. Let the body take the lead now. You do not need to watch it. You do not need to help it. You only need to stop interrupting it. In this non-interference, the body resumes its ancient work. As awareness softens further, allow this understanding to fade into the background. The body knows what comes next. It has always known. True rest does not come from stopping movement alone. It comes from releasing the belief that you must remain in control. Control is exhausting because it asks the heart to carry responsibility for outcomes it was never meant to manage. Trust, on the other hand, allows responsibility to return to where it belongs. When trust appears, even gently, the body feels permission to soften. The heart stays alert when it believes danger may appear at any moment. This belief keeps the system scanning, evaluating, and preparing. Even in quiet rooms, this internal scanning continues. Trust interrupts this pattern. It tells the heart that vigilance is no longer necessary, that life is being carried by something greater than personal effort. Trust is not a decision forced by logic. It is a feeling of being supported rather than exposed. When the heart trusts, it no longer searches the future for threats or the past for explanations. It settles into the present moment, where breath is already moving and the body is already alive without instruction. This settling changes everything. The muscles stop bracing, the stomach loosens, the shoulders drop. These physical changes are signs that the body believes it is safe. Safety is the doorway to deep rest. Without safety, sleep remains light and fragile. With safety, sleep deepens naturally. Many people misunderstand trust as passivity or surrendering care. In reality, trust is the deepest form of care. It is the recognition that constant monitoring does not prevent harm. It only exhausts the one who monitors. Trust does not abandon responsibility. It redistributes it. When the heart trusts, it stops rehearsing tomorrow. It stops replaying today. It stops calculating what might go wrong. These habits drain energy quietly. Trust conserves energy. Conserved energy returns to the body as warmth, heaviness, and ease. The mind often resists trust because it believes effort equals protection. But protection born of tension is fragile. Protection born of trust is stable. The heart that trusts is not careless, it is aligned. Alignment removes friction. Friction is what keeps the body awake. Trust also softens the sense of time. Urgency fades. The need to arrive somewhere dissolves. When urgency disappears, the nervous system slows. Slowness invites rest. Rest invites sleep. Sleep does not come because problems are solved. It comes because the heart stops demanding solutions in the middle of the night. Night is not the time for answers, it is the time for release. Trust understands this distinction. The body responds quickly to trust because trust removes internal conflict. Conflict consumes energy. When conflict dissolves, energy becomes available for restoration. Restoration is the hidden purpose of sleep. You do not need perfect trust to rest. Even a small release is enough. Each moment you stop checking, stop evaluating, stop predicting, trust grows. Trust is built through allowance, not effort. When trust settles in, the heart stops bracing. When the heart stops bracing, sleep finds no obstacle. Sleep moves in gently, without announcement, because it is no longer blocked. Let trust hold what you have been holding alone. Let the weight shift away from the chest. Let the body feel what it is like to be carried rather than carrying. You are not letting go of life. You are letting life hold you. The night was not created to alarm you or to expose what the day hides. It was created to soften what effort hardens. When light withdraws, life does not disappear, it slows. This slowing is intentional. It allows what has been strained to loosen, what has been overstimulated to quiet, and what has been carrying weight to finally rest. Darkness is often misunderstood as absence, but absence is not what the night offers. The night conceals so that gentleness can occur without interference. Under this veil, the soul no longer needs to perform or respond. The expectations of the day lose their authority. The body recognizes this shift and begins to follow it. The heart behaves differently at night. It no longer seeks approval or outcome. It listens inwardly. This listening does not require words. It is a quiet sensing that nothing needs to be decided right now. When the heart accepts this, tension eases, the breath deepens, awareness becomes less scattered. The night removes the demand for clarity. You do not need answers in the dark. You do not need direction. The soul understands that guidance does not disappear when thought pauses. In fact, guidance often becomes clearer when the mind stops interfering. Thoughts may still drift through awareness, but they lose their urgency. They no longer demand engagement. They pass like clouds across a sky that remains unchanged. You are not required to follow them. The night invites non-participation. Non-participation is not neglect, it is rest. The body responds to this invitation instinctively. Heart rate slows, muscles soften, sensation becomes heavier and warmer. These are signs that the system feels permitted to power down. Powering down is not weakness, it is maintenance. Night also protects by limiting stimulation. Fewer sounds, fewer movements, fewer demands. This reduction allows the nervous system to recalibrate. During the day, the system adapts constantly. At night, it restores. Restoration requires quiet. The veil of night also hides imperfections. In the dark, details fade, edges soften. The soul no longer needs to examine itself. This absence of scrutiny is deeply healing. Scrutiny keeps the system alert. Mercy removes the spotlight. Many resist the night because they associate it with loneliness or fear. But the night is not empty. It is holding. It carries you when effort releases. It does not require vigilance. It does not ask for courage. It asks only for allowance. Allow the night to do its work. You do not need to guide it. You do not need to understand it. Simply remaining within it without resistance is enough. The body will respond. The night does not hurry. It unfolds slowly. This slowness teaches the soul that urgency is unnecessary. When urgency fades, sleep approaches naturally. Let the darkness feel like a covering rather than a void. A covering protects, insulates, and preserves warmth. Under this covering, The body can let go of tension it did not realize it was holding. You are not being left alone in the night. You are being given space to rest without observation. This privacy is mercy. In it, the soul relaxes its defenses. Remain here gently. The night knows how to carry you further. Sleep is often misunderstood as an exit from life, as though awareness must disappear for rest to occur. In truth, sleep is not an escape from existence. It is a return to its source. You are not leaving yourself behind when you rest. You are returning to the ground from which clarity, strength, and balance arise. The soul does not retreat in sleep. It settles back into alignment. Throughout the day, attention moves outward. It responds, reacts, compares, and evaluates. This outward movement is useful, but it is not meant to be continuous. When it continues without pause, the inner world becomes strained. Sleep reverses this movement gently, drawing awareness inward without force. This inward return is not collapse. It is reorientation. Many resist rest because they believe it means avoidance. Avoidance suggests weakness or irresponsibility. Rest, however, is neither. Rest is a form of cooperation with life's rhythm. It acknowledges that clarity does not come from constant engagement. It comes from renewal. The soul rests so that it may awaken refreshed, not hardened by effort. When you release into rest, you are not abandoning responsibility. You are allowing responsibility to be held elsewhere for a time. This allowance restores balance. The mind does not need to supervise the night. Life continues without instruction. The heart continues to beat. The breath continues to move. The body continues its work of repair unseen. Rest returns you to simplicity. In rest, identity loosens its grip. You are no longer defined by roles, outcomes, or expectations. You become presence without pressure. This state is deeply nourishing because it removes the constant demand to be someone or to do something. The return that sleep offers is subtle. It does not announce itself. It is felt as heaviness in the limbs, warmth spreading slowly, and a narrowing of attention that feels natural rather than imposed. This narrowing is not loss. It is focus turning inward, like a lamp dimming not because light is gone, but because it is no longer needed outwardly. Rest also restores trust. Trust that the world will not unravel if you pause. Trust that guidance does not vanish when thought stops. Trust that you are sustained even when unconscious. This trust calms the deepest layers of the nervous system. When these layers calm, sleep deepens. The soul knows that effort has limits. It rests not to escape life, but to remain capable of meeting it again with openness. Without rest, effort becomes rigidity. With rest, effort becomes fluid. Fluidity allows adaptation. Adaptation preserves vitality. Returning inward does not mean forgetting what matters. It means placing it gently aside. Nothing essential is lost during sleep. Everything essential is preserved and often restored. Memory integrates, emotion softens, tension unwinds. These processes do not require awareness, they require permission. The fear that rest will distance you from life is unfounded. In reality, rest brings you closer to what is real. It removes the noise that obscures perception. When you awaken, the world appears less sharp, less threatening, and more navigable. This is the fruit of return. Rest is also an act of humility. It acknowledges that you are not self-sustaining. It honors the truth that existence is carried moment by a wisdom beyond effort. This humility is not diminishment. It is relief. As you allow this return, there is nothing you need to achieve. There is no state you must reach. The process unfolds on its own. Even partial release is enough. Each moment of allowance draws you further inward. Let the idea of escape fall away. You are not running from life. You are meeting it at its source. You are allowing the soul to drink from the well it has been walking past all day. Remain here gently. Let the return complete itself without observation. The body knows the way. The soul remembers it. As these words slowly fade, allow them to dissolve into the quiet that is already surrounding you. There is nothing left to listen for and nothing left to hold together. The day has been gently set aside, and you are no longer required to carry it. Let the breath continue on its own. Let the body sink into the surface beneath you, and let awareness soften without direction. Whatever remains unfinished can wait. You are safe to rest now. Sleep is not something you must reach. It is something that arrives when you are no longer watching for it. Allow yourself to be carried by the night, trusting that you are held even when you let go, and drift gently into rest, knowing that nothing essential is lost when you sleep.